I don't expect them to be executed. Most unlikely. I personally would hope and pray that we are able to make an appeal to His Highness Amir and that they would be pardoned. I don't think Hamas has any time to follow G20. I read MEA's statement very carefully, and very correctly it says that India will exercise all options, including the legal, and naturally this is a matter about which there cannot be too much of public discussion. But I want to say a couple of things. One is that the Amir can give a pardon, Of course, one has to apply for that. I'm sure that at the right time, it will be done. Only thing is that, you don't get the pardon the next day. It can take time, They can also take the time that you apply for pardon only after X years. Sort of thing, complications. So, I don't expect them to be executed. Most unlikely. In diplomacy you never say never, but most unlikely. Qatar will not do that. So the question is, when they can get the pardon, number one. The other is, some years ago, 3 Filipinos where one was sentenced to death. He was working for the Qatar General Petroleum. And 2 others, they were working with the Air Force. So the charge against them was that these 2 working for the Air Force were giving information to the 3rd Filipino who was working for Qatar Petroleum, who was passing it on to Philippines government. And it was again national security. It was to do with Air Force and all that. So in that case, what happened was that the death sentence passed on that Qatar General Petroleum guy, that by the Court of Appeal, it was reduced to life sentence, And then the other 2, they were sentenced to 25 years. But that again, the Court of Appeal reduces to, if I remember right, it has come in this thing, 15 years or something like that. So what I'm trying to say, there is, most probably further legal processing. But I don't know, in the sense that further legal processing may or may not help, because this has been going on for a long time, we know that. And ultimately, we have only 2 options. One is to appeal to His Highness the Amir, or, you remember Kulbhushan, what's his full name? Yeah. We had taken it up with the ICJ. That's also possible. But I personally would hope and pray that we are able to make an appeal to His Highness Amir and that they would be pardoned, well, if necessary after, X years, whatever be the value of X, Now, here I want to make one more point. We could have, and I had said it at that the time of G20, if I remember right, only Saudi Arabia and UAE came. Saudi Arabia, of course, is a G20. So UAE was invited. The correct thing would have been invite the whole GCC. I mean, of course, Saudi Arabia doesn't have to be invited, member, but the rest of the GCC. In other words, we should have had the whole GCC at the summit level, And, the psychology is that if you invite all of them will come, because I I cannot be absent when 3-4 others are present. You know what I mean? That should have been the right thing. I believe we had extended an invitation to the Amir, if you remember, in the context of that BJP spokesperson, what's her name? She said something about the Holy Prophet, you know, praise be his name. She shouldn't have said that. So Qatar had summoned our ambassador, even when our vice president was there. That was the sort of, you know, hurt they felt. So now this was much before G20. So we should have recognized that there is a real problem. You know, and got the whole GCC. But anyway, there is no point in going into the past.
With this, it can have any implication on the relationship between the two countries, since this was the trial which was going on for a very long time, and now with this judgment, do you think it has any impact on the relationship between the two?
No, not the judgment per se. What happens after the judgment? You see, if a court of appeal gives us some relief, I'm not saying that they are going to be declared innocent. I mean, my view is that probably they are innocent, but we don't know. You know what I mean? Sitting here, just because, you know, they are our people, I shouldn't be saying they're innocent. But whatever it be, you know, in case Qatar has good evidence, then all that we can hope for is, you know, the sentences should be reduced. You know, because, you know, sentenced to death, that is, you know, think of the families, you know. No, it's not done.
Moving to regarding the Hamas attack, he said the reason behind Hamas launched a terrorist attack on Israel is because of the recent announcement during the G20 of India, Middle East, European corridor that indicates region with the network of railroad. Do you agree with this?
I beg to differ with President Biden. In fact, when he was elected way back, I had written an article saying that here is, you know, a president, or rather president-elect, walking into the White House with such long years of experience in foreign policy. You remember he was a senator since 73 or 74, vice president for 8 years, chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. So I had argued that he is the best qualified American president as far as foreign affairs goes. But I'm sorry to say, my high expectations have not been fulfilled, and he has carried out, he could have carried out his foreign policy in a much better way. Now, this explanation which he has given, it doesn't carry water. You know, it doesn't hold. Because, first of all, I don't think Hamas has any time to follow G20. Okay? You know the situation. You know that. And then don't forget, they would have planned it for a long time. You know? And for him to say that this was, well, I'm sorry, he's not getting it right. He should understand that Hamas, I don't approve of what Hamas did. It is terrorism. You know, catching hold of innocent people, killing them, or, you know, that is, you know what I mean. It is terrorism. But the question is, if you say that they are terrorists and therefore they did it, that's not good enough. Then you should ask, how did they become terrorists? And there you will understand that it's the occupation of Israel. I will not go back to 48, 49. Well, you can go back, but at least you can go back to 1967, when under Security Council Resolution 242, Israel should have withdrawn from Gaza, West Bank, and Golan Heights. They didn't. Then again, 1973, Resolution 338, repeating 242. They didn't. Then the Oslo Accords, 1993-95. They signed, but they didn't take action. So it is Israel which is, as Secretary General said, it didn't happen in a vacuum. It is Israel, when you look at the big picture, which is in a major way responsible for what happened.